20 years is very, very important. And I'm interested in pleading with Mary Kay to write down what she started to say yesterday, because it's very, very important that we have a history of BNASAA. I really feel that none of us knows the importance of BNASAA. When you are doing something that is historic, that is very, very important, you are not necessarily aware that it is historic and that you're playing a part in history. But friends, I am here to declare this morning that you are part of history. Little do you know what this is. If you just step back from it, and especially those of us who've been in it for this length of time, you realize that BNASAA is many things. I remember when Larry and I went to the National Spiritual Assembly of the United States to declare that there was something that we really wanted to take care of, and that is the real personal problems of people. And that we had found the energy and the spiritual awareness to do it. I cannot say to you that everybody was excited. You know, I was looking around the table and kind of people going, because we hadn't done that before. And this was new territory. But they did say, carry on. And I was a counselor at that time. And I gave them the thought that I gave you yesterday, and I'll give anybody any day. And that is, Baha'u'llah came for who? Everybody. One of the reasons that comes to me so easily is because I think that we individually don't remember how we used to be. Isn't that true? You don't think about that. You think about how you are today, standing up straight, looking good. And you just go back a little bit. And I'm talking about myself and everybody in this room. And you begin to understand how many issues, we don't use the word problems anymore. In 2009, they're issues. That's California talk. But you must really be in touch with how much you have been able to shed. You might have new issues, but please God that they're not the same old issues. And BNASAA is helping us to understand ourselves. Baha'u'llah did not say that we would be ready for him. He didn't say that. What he said is that he'd be ready for us. Is that right? And friends, I'll tell you the truth. I not only expect a miracle, and I really appreciated that song, and I want to thank you kindly for it because I needed it. I have seen miracles. I have seen miracles you wouldn't believe. And I don't have to go across the street or down the road. I can witness miracles in people who have grown so beautifully and who have bloomed in the sunshine of Baha'u'llah. I have seen this. I know what I'm talking about. And so I know that anything is possible. Anything is possible. We may not know it, but he knows it. And we don't know what we're going to look like when he's done with us. But you know, as you grow older, things become a little clearer, and you can still stand up and talk and see and because Some of my friends that I talked to, things did not get clearer. I got messed up. But they didn't have Baha'i. They did not have Baha'i. So the first point that I want to make is, you are making history. You are making history. Don't go away from BNASAA. Come into BNASAA. Hear the stories. Pray for people. Love the people. Because I really, really know for a fact that the difference in growth and no growth is love. Love. And when I say that, I'm not talking about self-esteem. I'm not talking about all the, whatever the latest description is of the insistent self. We all have to deal with that. But our love comes in service to others. Our love comes in feeling good about what we just did. Our love comes in watching and seeing others and doing for others. That's how our love comes. And as we do that, people look at us differently. And we, in turn, begin to not concentrate so much on the insistent self, but we begin to concentrate on service to others. Look at me, follow me. Be as I am. I think that line of service is one of the healing factors in all of our lives. And friends, that never changes. I have as one of my notes here that I put an asterisk next to it. Nobody gets away scot-free. I don't care who they are or how they are. Nobody gets away scot-free. And I remember one time at a session somewhere or the other in the United States, I started talking about teaching. And I said, when you go home from this conference, are you going to teach? Will you teach? Who will you teach? And people start crying. And I couldn't understand why they were crying. I didn't feel that asking people to teach was scary or imposing or anything like that. And Billy Roberts was there. And he said, I need to say something. And he said, what I see happening here is people are comparing their insides with Wilma's outside. I thought that was really profound. And then I understood why they were crying, because they were feeling, who, me? You can do this, but I can't do this. As if they knew my insides. I need to tell a little story. Before I fell in love with Dr. Baha'i, I was as shy as I could be. I could smile and say hello, but I was very, very shy. And what took me out of that, I wasn't shy in a group, but I was shy personally. But what took me out of that shyness was suffering. Suffering. Feeling awful. My life was a mess. A real mess. And after Baha'i saved me, he saved me. And he showed me how to be. I was living in New York City, and New York City is an unforgiving city. It will let you be whatever you desire to be, or maybe don't desire to be. And I was so unhappy. And I went to the Baha'i Center, and it didn't work for me. The Baha'i Center was a floor through on the 4th floor or 3rd floor. And it was just a floor, the whole floor was the Baha'i Center. And the only exit door, there was an elevator that took about 4 or 5 people up at a time. Did anybody go to that center? You know what I'm talking about. And the door, the escape door, the exit door was a bulletin board over it. Now, friends, I have been badly burned as a child. Do you know I can't be in that place? I could not be in that place. And I kept thinking, how do you get out of here? Well, why do they have that bulletin board over the exit door, which is against the law, by the way? So I went home. And I lived in the village, so it wasn't far to go home. And then I said, well, I'll go again. And the second time I went, I had a terrible experience because this woman was talking in the front, and the way that the room was cut up, there was a little refreshment bar in the middle and a bathroom on the side. And in the back was kind of a lounge area and library. But every time you went to the bathroom, somebody's reading a prayer, and guess what? The noise. And I couldn't do that. I could not do that. Somebody flushed the toilet, and guess what? You could hear it. And I thought, these people, what is this? And I'm coming from Amherst, Massachusetts, which was a wonderful, small, beautiful community. And then the third time I went, it was something happened that was very bad. People were backbiting. And I'm sitting where they're backbiting and somebody's trying to talk. So I just said, well, you know what? I'm not going to be a Baha'i in this place. I'll give money to the fund, I'll say my prayers, but I'm not coming back here. I am not coming back here. And a man named Eddie Goldberg would not stop calling me. Hi, Wilma. This is Eddie Goldberg. Remember me? Yes, Eddie, I remember you. Well, you know, I was wondering if we're having a holy day. Will you come? No. Well, do you mind if I call you again? No. I didn't have the courage to tell him to leave me alone. And so he called me and he asked me, he said, Wilma, we're having a race unity day. Would you speak? I said, yes. And the reason I said yes is because I was ashamed to say no. So I did speak. And just the regular, what Baha'i said about race and all that. And this is where the miracle part comes in. I prayed about that and prayed about that. And Hortense Sawyer, who worked for the LSA of New York, she and I started talking. And then Byron Wood and I started talking. And we decided that we would have a little group called Group 9, all ladies. And we had a couple of meetings at my apartment, which was close by. And we talked about, and Nancy Monshine was in that group. And we talked about what we could do to change things. And we said we're going to clean the center. That's to take those dirty velvet drapes down. And we're going to do this and this and this. And thank you very much. I appreciate that so much. And we're going to fix it. And we went to the LSA. And the LSA was they were okay, but they weren't too thrilled to see us. I'm telling this story for a purpose, friends. They weren't hostile, but they were very formal. Because I was new, to this community, and I hadn't been there that much, and I hadn't done anything, and they kind of wondered, what is this group Route 9, and what are you doing? So we explained to them what we wanted to do. Here's the miracle. A man who was on that assembly was walking his dog and down on 11th Street. And a building that had been for sale for $800 and some odd thousand, which for that time was a whole lot of money, had been reduced to $200,000 something dollars. And the LSA said, don't help us fix up that center. Help us buy a new. Baha'u'llah did that. Baha'u'llah did that. And all the pain and suffering and that not just I went through, but others went through. The miracle was, that was the birth of a new center. That's just one miracle. Let me tell you the other one. The other miracle was, we decided we would have a fundraiser at a school. And we were so excited because we were going to have a fundraiser for our new center. And who happened to be in town? Rukia Hanum. Everybody came to our fundraiser. I believe in miracles. Did you come? Were you there? I don't believe it. Oh my goodness. Well, we raised up a little money that day. We raised up a little money. And I love that story because it talks about, going for it, and not giving up. And then, of course, when we got the center, then we started having guidelines about the center. No, darling, I know your blue plastic flowers look good in your house, but not in this center. Not gonna happen. I hope I haven't hurt your feelings, but take those blue plastic flowers. Oh! But Baha'u'llah works that out. And I hope that you'll remember that story and remember where he came in to relieve us all. We had no other motive except to give him a better address. That was our motive. Another thing that I wrote down is, what makes a difference as we struggle? What makes a difference? We all have struggles, and yesterday I had the feeling when we were in our group that you could take another whole group of people, of Baha'is, and put them in that room, read to them the guidelines, because that's very, very important about BNASAA, and start the process, because it is that airtight. And friends, what each of us must understand is that nobody gets away scot-free. Everybody has issues. They might not be ready to talk about them, but believe me when I tell you, they're right there. So in a way, you are ahead of the game. You are ahead of the game. You know why? Because you have found a way within your faith to do something about it. We don't have all the answers yet. I don't know the answers. Maybe you do, but I don't. But I do know that Baha'u'llah came for everybody. And I do know that there has to be answers in his faith that will help us with our personal problems. I know that prayer is one of them. Prayer gives us a staying power. When you feel real bad, prayer will help. If it doesn't help, say another prayer. And if that didn't get it, say another prayer until you connect to him. He didn't move. If you feel far away from Baha'u'llah, it's you who moved. He has not moved a bit. And another point that I put in my little notes here is that just because we can't see the nobility in ourselves does not mean it is not there. Why do I say that? Well, I ask you, who do you believe? Huh? Didn't Baha'u'llah say we were noble? Do you believe him or you? That sounds just like my mother. When I said that, I thought, oh, Mama. Just because you're feeling down, he didn't leave. He has not moved. You have moved. And you can always crawl back. You can always crawl back. And with all we're doing in the 5-year plan, with all we're struggling to do in our personal lives, I have to ask one question that I hope will stay with you forever. And that is, where's the love? Where is the love? I keep getting instructions. You know, I keep getting all these instructions and I think, where's the love? And I will do anything for you, with you, to you, if you show me some love. Without the love, I don't feel it. Nothing happens. And love requires a couple of things from us. You know that, love me that I may love thee, if thou loveth me not, my love will I don't think that's just Baha'u'llah talking to us. I think it's for the two of us, the many of us, to talk to one another. If you're not talking to me with love, there's a screen there. But the moment that screen is put down, I can relate. I can relate with almost anybody. But show me the love. And I hope that if you take nothing else home with you, you will remember what Mary Kay said yesterday about BNASAA, showing unity, unity. And along with that unity, love, love, love. You might not feel it at first, but if you work on it, you will begin to feel the love by addressing the nobility in every soul. When we were in our first circle, I talked about taking the deeds away from the person. What you did or didn't do is separate from your nobility as a person. I didn't say that, but Allah said that. He talked about, why do we call him merciful? Ooh, and our do need is mercy and forgiveness. Oh yes, oh yes. But those are separate. And the more we practice that separation from the nobility of ourselves, the better we will get at giving that to others. How can I address your nobility if I'm blaming you for something you did? That doesn't work. Maybe you have to get old to understand that. I don't know. I didn't always understand that, but I understand it now. I do. Prayer books are your constant counselors. The prayer book that is tattered and worn belongs to a person who is neither tattered nor worn. Is that right? I believe in that. I believe that our prayers are our spiritual vitamins, and we need to take them all day long. I remember a woman in San Francisco, and she'd go around and she'd say, Allahu Akbar. And I didn't know what was going on. She's an older lady. Allahu Akbar. And I thought, that must be good. Because she had said it with such conviction. And she was a happy woman. She was a happy woman. Just a couple more things and I'm through. I wanted to talk about a point that Mary Kay spoke of yesterday when she said that sexuality is fluid and it's changing in the lifespan. Expect change. Not only is sexuality fluid, everything else is fluid. If you don't believe it, ask yourself, could you get away with now what you could get away with 5 years ago? I can't. A little white lie, something I did that I said I did, but I didn't do. I can't do that anymore. I can't. And to me, that is growth. And I just wanted to, these are not from any book, believe me, these are what I feel, that when we are formed by our early experiences, and in a way that's good and in a way that's bad. Because as when we are children, if that is not a good experience, you have to struggle like crazy to get past it. It's hard, very, very hard, to forgive and outgrow the trouble that your family was in, or a member of your family was in. But that is your challenge, to get past it. I remember I was in college at Cal Poly, and this man was a psychologist, and he should have been an actor. He drove a convertible Cadillac, and he had beautiful hair, and he smoked a pipe, and he thought he was cool. And he said, he loved to startle us, and he'd come into class, and one morning he came in and he said, your father was a drunk. Pause, pause, pause. Look at it, what's he talking about? Your mother was a whore. And everybody didn't like that. I mean, we're not used to that. And then he said, get over it. Obviously, it impressed me. That happened 100 years ago. It impressed me. But, I thought to myself, in a nutshell, if it were only that easy, but tell me he's not right. And I never forgot that, because this was in the 50s, and people didn't talk like that. But he had a point. Our job is to get over the negative things and not dwell on the unpleasant things in life. That's one of the covenants in one of our favorite prayers. So by the time you reach puberty, you're saying, well, all these things happened to me and I had to do this, this, and this. Who am I? Did you feel that way? Who am I really? Who are my friends? And what do my friends say? Because that gets powerful at that time. I'm not talking about the adults in my life. I'm talking about my friends. With my friends, who am I? That happens in puberty. And then what we deduce from that, it's not necessarily right, but it really helps to identify us. And then by the time we get in our late 20s, 30s, 40s, in that very, very sensitive area, we feel like we're supposed to have it all together. We've gotten our jobs, we've gone to school, we've done all those things. And the world thinks that we are what we're going to be. And friends, that's not true. That is not true. I am 80, and I'm telling you, that is not true. We grow individually, just like beautiful plants or flowers. Some plants grow quickly, and others take a lot of time. And maybe, just maybe, you will be a late bloomer. But you cannot just take these ideas of growth and development as if they were absolutely true. I think to myself how wonderful it is when we can bring our whole selves to the present. Are you here? Are you really here today? Is your whole self here, present, now? Because to me, that's one of the secrets of a good life, is to become present in the moment and experience that moment and be clear about making your moments good and surrounding yourself with beauty and with love. I really believe that. And then the issues that are not resolved, this is where the change comes in. Maybe they're the wrong issues. Maybe they're not the issues that you think they are. Maybe a change of mind, a change of heart, more prayer will help you to better define the issues. And then when you hit about 50, dangerous, because it's late. You feel like it's getting late, and you're tired of all those problems. And you want to change, but you don't feel like it, because it's heavy and it's tiresome. And I go back to this old Christian hymn that says, "Take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there." Now, I learned to take my burdens to the Lord, but I bring them right back. I just prayed about that, but I'm still worrying about it. And there is a unique quality that Abdul Baha'i tells us about, and that is walking away from them. What would happen if you just simply decided to walk away from them? That takes courage. That takes courage. And I hope you will say, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about." I encourage you to go find out what I'm talking about. What happens if you just walk away from them and say, "I'm going to be free"? They talked about that last night when Larry did that incredible performance, just so wonderful. But he talked about being free as a child. I want to be free, but I don't want to be a child. I don't feel like being a child, but I want to be free now. And the only way I can do that is to be real. And the only way I can be real is to keep struggling to walk away from all those fears and frightening things that held me back, that have held me back. And I will tell you that when you get to be a real senior citizen, like in your 70s, or your 80s, that you will find that one step at a time works. Whatever the problem, start over again every Monday morning on that same problem, knowing that Baha'u'llah will help. And what happens is it just fades. It just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And you do walk away from it. You do walk away from it, but not without your spiritual vitamins of prayer. And don't leave the source. Don't leave the source, even if you have to step away from the Baha'i community that you're in, because it's just so hard. Maybe the answer is go to another community. If you can't make it somewhere, don't act like it's the Baha'i faith's fault. It is not. Baha'u'llah is perfect. Abdu'l-Baha is perfect. The fault may be in you or in the people you're dealing with. If you can just find one, just one compassionate person, stick to that one until you can find two. I didn't say it was going to be easy. I did not say that this journey is a piece of cake. It is not. But Lord knows it is satisfying. And let me stop now with what I call the so what factor. That's wonderful. So what? When you get old, I love to say that because I'm old. It makes you think I know something you don't know. You stop putting people in boxes. You stop assuming that you know somebody. You always are waiting to learn more about them. You learn the difference between intimacy and familiarity. We do not necessarily dislike intimacy, but we feel put upon when people are familiar with us. I want you to think about that in terms of getting to know people, indeed in terms of getting to know oneself. I don't want you to be familiar with me. I don't want your disrespect. I don't want your offhand comments. I want your intimacy. I want you to look me in the eye when you talk to me. Don't ever be condescending to anybody, because whether they know it or not, they will hold that against you because you have insulted them. So we want all of that. And at this stage of life, we might die. I think about that and I'm curious. I want to know what it's going to be like. But when we get to the presence of the holy ones in the next kingdom, we all have to say, Lord, I tried. I tried. And He will know whether we are sincere or not. And after all, He's the only one who can just judge us. Nobody else is given that duty or that privilege. Nobody can judge us but Baha'u'llah. I thank you.